Good morning. Today is Monday, June 17th, 2024. It's 10 a.m. and I call this meeting of the Platte County Commission to order. We are fortunate this morning to have Pastor Michael Lazio with us. Would you please lead us in the invocation, the Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you, Commissioner.
Good morning.
It's good to be here.
Good to have you.
I have a couple of scripture verses to read, and then I have a quote from Abraham Lincoln, which is one of my favorites, and it goes along with this. Psalm 33, 11 through 15. The counsel of the Lord stands forever, the plans of his heart from generation to generation. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, the people whom he has chosen for his own inheritance. The Lord looks from heaven. He sees all the sons of men. From his dwelling place, he looks out on all the inhabitants of the earth. He who fashions the hearts of them all, he who understands all their work. Abraham Lincoln declaration, this is a prayer declaration that goes back to March of 1863. I'm just going to read what he had to say. He called the nation to prayer and says, "We have been the recipients of the choicest bounties of heaven. We have been preserved these many years in peace and prosperity. We have grown in numbers, wealth, power as no other nation has ever grown. But we have forgotten God. We have forgotten the gracious hand with which preserved us in peace and multiplied and enriched and strengthened us, as we vainly imagined in the deceitfulness of our own hearts that all these blessings were produced by some superior wisdom and virtue of our own. Intoxicated with unbroken success, we have become too self-sufficient to feel the necessity of redeeming and preserving grace, too proud to pray to the God that made us." So with that, would you join me in prayer? Father, forgive us for our complacency and forgetting you, our God, are the one responsible for all these blessings that have been bestowed upon us and our nation for hundreds of years. We pray for the rebirth of hope, spirituality, and the pioneer spirit to lead us back to our roots and destiny that is in you. Amen. Would you join me in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Michael. First item of the agenda, the approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the agenda. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Freiberg?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanacker?
Yes.
That motion carries 3-0. Next on the agenda is the consent calendar.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Freiberg?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanacker?
Yes.
That motion carries 3-0. Next on the agenda, business action items. We have 3 of those to be presented by Major Eric Holland with the Sheriff's Office. First of those is 2024 CO 115. Morning, Major.
Morning, Morning, Commissioners. Major Holland with the Sheriff's Office. CO 115 is a cooperative purchasing authorization between the county and CCG Safety Gear for the purchase of ballistic vests. Now, these vest plates and the related equipment that the CO authorizes are not your standard ballistic vests. These are actually what is utilized by the SWAT team. Their vests were last purchased back in 2012, 2013 timeframe, and they now expired and need to be replaced. So these are tactical vests. Normally, the commission doesn't see standard bulletproof vest purchases because they're done under state contract and below certain levels. Since these are unique vests and a little different, we needed to bring them through the commission. This contract is available through the state of Missouri contract number CC 241020003. It's also labeled to the county under the NASPO contract. They are both awarded to Slate Solutions LLC, which uses a local distributor system, and CCG Safety Gear is listed as the authorized distributor agent for the state of Missouri under the state contract. Total budget impact is $33,899. Funds are contained in the sheriff's current year budget, and the auditor has certified that funds are available and it's been approved by legal.
Move to approve business action item 6A, 2024 CO 115, cooperative purchase for ballistic vessel.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on this item. Are there any comments?
I have a question.
Mr. Manley.
Is it just the SWAT team that receives the ballistic vests, or the other road deputies receive vests? Who has vests in the sheriff's department?
Anybody that what we would lovingly refer to as a gun toter has a ballistic vest. It's actually part of a federal law tied to the Public Safety Officers Benefit Program, that in order for officers to, or I should say, in order for their families to be eligible for any benefits if there were to be a line of duty death, that the officer has to be wearing a ballistic vest during the incident. So anybody that is a commissioned deputy has a bulletproof vest assigned to them, and then the detention officers also have ballistic vests assigned to them, because the stab protection rating of the ballistic vest is the same as what they call a stab vest, but we can actually get the ballistic vest cheaper than the stab vest. So that's how they're distributed through the sheriff's office.
Any further comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Freier?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner Baylor?
Yes.
The motion carries 3-0. Next on the agenda, 2024 CO 122.
Commissioners, this is an agreement between Arthur J. Gallagher and Company, which is a insurance broker that's utilized by Midwest Public Risk to shop and broker cyber liability insurance. So this is a renewal of the county cyber liability insurance. The coverage period actually backdates a little bit. So once it's authorized, it covers a period of time from May 8th, 2024 until May 8th of 2025. The budget impact is $31,540.17. And this is actually a county commission item, so funds would be in the overall county budget, not necessarily the sheriff's budget. I'm just presenting it to you as your Midwest Public Risk representative.
Move approval of 2024-CO-122 cyber insurance renewal.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on this item. Are there any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Freier?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner Baylor?
Yes.
The motion carries 3-0. Next on the agenda, 2024 RES 034.
Commissioners, this is a resolution authorizing the sheriff's office to put out an RFP for the purchase of a 2021 or newer model year passenger van for use by the sheriff's office. It's come to light through some of the meetings about the jail tax that will be on the August ballot, concerns on released inmates into Platte City. While there are a number of things the county has already done addressing that, there's already a free phone that they have access to in the lobby of the jail. If they have money on the books, when they're released, they have a debit card that money is immediately available to them. Those things have already been in place for a while, but this seems to be a problem that's persisting and concern for businesses and community around downtown Platte City. As the commission's aware, we're developing a plan that is somewhat of a shuttle service. So when somebody is released, if they do not have a ride immediately available to them, we could take them to different locations in Platte County or on the periphery of Platte County to where they have access to easier modes of transportation, and they're not kind of trapped in downtown Platte City, for lack of a better phrase. So this RFP is looking to purchase a passenger van for that regard, since they would be free citizens, not longer in custody. We're not necessarily wanting to put them in lockdown transport vehicles. And we'll be presenting the commission with some more information on the plan we're developing on addressing that issue, but that is something that we've taken note of and we're going to address.
Move to approve 2024 RES 034 Sheriff's Office vehicle purchase.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on this item. Are there any comments? I'd just like to commend the Sheriff's Office for getting out in front of this issue. We know it has the potential for being a significant issue in the future. So getting it here at this stage, I think, is important. So thank you for working on that. We look forward to more details and having a full plan that we can roll out here before too long. So thank you. Any further comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Brinker?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanacker?
Yes.
That motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Major. Next on the agenda, 2024 RES 033 to be presented by Parks and Recreations Director Daniel Erickson. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Daniel Erickson on behalf of the Parks Department. This is Resolution 33 is a appointment to the Platte County Parks and Recreation Board of Shane Barty. We are seeking to have Shane fill an unexpired term that's become open on the board, which will expire on January 19th, 2027. Staff recommends you should approve this appointment.
I move approval of 2024-RES-033, the appointment of Shane Barty to the Parks Board.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on this item. Are there any comments?
I would comment, I'm looking forward to having Shane Barty on the Parks Board. He served on several boards through the years. He's a valuable member of this community. He's an attorney in the Weston area, and I consider him a friend and very much look forward to having his advice and counsel on parks issues.
Any further comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Brinker?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanacker?
Yes.
That motion carries 3-0. Next on the agenda, 2024 CO 106, as Daniel switches hats to the Planning and Zoning.
Planning, zoning, floodplain management.
Thank you.
With the commission's permission, I would like to present items E through M as one item.
Yes, please.
Okay. 1993, Platte County had a significant flood, 500-year flood actually, that flooded out Bean Lake community up north in the I-10 area. As a result of that, Platte County back then participated in a federal community development block grant to offer buyouts to over 200 homes, 200 properties that participated in that program. And the general program is the homes were bought out because obviously there's been subsequent flooding since then. There have been 4 or 5 major floods since 1993. So it is in our best interest to not have repeated flood disasters with homes in that area. But the catch was the county had to maintain ownership or public ownership of all this land, couldn't be redeveloped to anything that could be filed under an insurance claim. So the county has owned many parcels up in the Bean Lake area, but we do participate in this program, allows us to lease some of this land back to some of the property owners up there, some of the adjoining landowners, and in return, they maintain it. They plant gardens, they mow it, they treat it as their own, which is a benefit to the county, in particular the Public Works Department, because if not maintained by then the Public Works has to send a crew up there to maintain it. So it's this program we participated in for many years. So these grants all are awarded to individuals who are adjacent property owners up there. They're 3 years in term, and they cost $1 per parcel. So staff recommends you approve this renewal of the Bean Lake lease agreements identified on the agenda.
Request permission to group these together.
Yeah, let's vote.
Okay,
As one.
move to approve business action items 6E through M, 2024-CO 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, or 110, 111, 112, 113, and 114, Bean Lake lease agreements.
Second?
We have a motion and a second on these items. Are there any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Brinker?
Yes.
Commissioner Webb?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanderburgh?
Yes.
That motion carries 3-0. Next on the agenda, 2024 CO 117.
As with the last one, if the commission is okay, I would like to combine items N through R, which are our stormwater agreements.
Yes.
Okay. As you're aware, Platte County makes available stormwater grants every year through our Parks and Stormwater Fund. We received a handful of grants this year. Those grants were reviewed by our Stormwater Committee, which made a recommendation to the commission. The commission endorsed that recommendation maybe last month. From there, we sent out grant agreements to the awardees, and now they have sent back those agreements. So we're ready to actually enter into agreements that will allow them to start doing the work that was envisioned under the grant. So there's multiple here. There's a grant award to the city of Lake Wacomas for $16,021. A grant award to the city of Parkville for $40,000. Grant award to the city of Riverside for $12,735. Grant award to Lake Wacomas for $69,986.76. And a grant award to the Brookhaven Home Association in the amount of $17,664.30. All of these grant awards are on a form reviewed and acceptable to our county council. The auditor certified that the funds are available under that grant program. And staff recommends you approve these grant awards.
I move approval of 2024-CO-117, 118, 119, 120, 121, the stormwater grants for Lake Wacomas, Parkville, Riverside, Lake Wacomas Association, and Brookhaven Homeowners Association.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on these items. Are there any comments? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Brinker?
Yes.
Commissioner Webb?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanderburgh?
Yes.
That motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Daniel.
You.
Next on the agenda, 2024 RES 030 to be presented by Public Works Director Bob Heim. Morning, Bob.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bob Heim, Director of Public Works. With the Commission's approval, I'd like to combine the description of resolutions 30 and 31 together, as they both relate to maintenance of the Public Works Facilities building. Resolution 30 is for recoating our metal roof. A number of years ago, it was covered with a elastomeric coating, and it's getting to the end of its life. So we would like to recoat that as well. The exterior of our building was done at the same time. It's a similar elastomeric coating, although a little bit different than roofing material. So what we would like to do is put both these projects out to bid. One is labeled Metal Roof Restoration Project, the other one exterior building restoration project. Bids would be due to the county clerk's office on Friday, July 12th, no later than 4 p.m. Those bids would be opened up on Monday at the commission session on July 15th at 10 a.m. read at the end of the meeting. Plans would be available beginning June 24th at 8 a.m. Staff would request that the commission allow us to go out for bids on both of these items.
Move to approve business action item 6S 2024 RES 030, a request for bids for metal roof restoration project.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on this item. Are there any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Freighter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanacker?
Yes.
The motion carries 3-0. Next on the agenda, 2024 RES 031.
I move approval of 2024-RES-031, request for bids for the exterior building restoration project for the Public Works Building.
Second.
A motion and a second on this item. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Freighter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanacker?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0. Next on the agenda, 2024 RES 032.
Commissioners, this is another request for bids. It's for maintenance on the Interurban Road Bridge that crosses over the Platte River. It's our biggest bridge that the Public Works Department maintains. Recently, we discovered that there's some, undermining going on under the approach slabs on each end of the bridge, meaning water's getting underneath of it and creating some cavities. That water then is migrating through the abutment wall that holds up the ends of the bridge. It's lying on the steel girders, and if we don't stop that, it's going to create some continued deterioration of those girders. So what we would like to do is put out a package for bids. It's called Interurban Road Bridge Maintenance. It would bid again on July 12th, no later than 4 p.m. to be delivered to the clerk's office. Bids would then open on July 15th at the regular commission session at 10 a.m. What the project will involve is removal of both of those slabs at each end of the bridge, some excavation work, install some drainage pipes to get the water out and away around the end of the bridge, and then go back in with compacted fill, concrete, and finally asphalt to come back up to the bridge level. Those plans would be available on June 24th at 8 a.m. We would like to go to bid with the commission's approval.
Move to approve 2024 RES 032, request for bids for interurban road bridge maintenance over Platte River.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on this item. Are there any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Freighter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanacker?
Yes.
The motion carries 3-0. Next on the agenda, 2024 CO 035.
Commissioners, 035 is a bid rejection. On June 3rd of this month, we opened bids publicly. We only received one bid for the replacement of our sign over at Public Works. We were looking at doing some kind of an electronic sign. Not having a lot of knowledge on what the value of those signs are and only getting one bid, we didn't really have anything to compare to. So staff is going to recommend that we reject this one bid that we received, and we're going to seek an alternative way of getting a new sign installed at Public Works this year.
I move approval of 2024-CO-035, the bid rejection for the Public Works sign replacement project.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on this item. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Freighter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanacker?
Yes.
The motion carries 3-0. Next on the agenda, 2024 CO 116.
Commissioners, this final item is a memorandum of understanding to purchase a new flex wing rotary mower. The current mower that we have, I believe, was purchased about 5 years ago. In that time frame, the best we can estimate, it has mowed somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000 miles of ditch line, and it's getting tired. So our staff's gone out and identified bid number 60523 CO 0361 that is available for cooperative use. It's good through June 31st, 2025, and that is offered through the Missouri Vice Cooperative Purchasing Program. We would like to take advantage of that and have found that Heritage Tractor, who's an authorized John Deere dealer, does have this product available. It is a John Deere FC10R Flex Wing rotary mower. The county councilor has approved the agreement or memorandum of understanding as to form. County auditor is certified that the funds are available. The total impact of the budget is $15,766, and we will be trading in the old mower, which pays for about 50% of the new.
Move to approve 2024 CO 116 and MOU for a mower.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on this item. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Brinker?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner Vader?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Bob. Next on the agenda, announcements from county office holders and staff. I believe we have one this morning from County Auditor Kevin Robinson. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kevin Robinson, Platte County Auditor. This morning, we are here to hear from Kristen Hughes of RSM USA to give us an annual presentation of the county's financial report for date December 31, 2023. The presentation is available on the screen for the audience. If anybody would like, there's a hard copy over here. And before I have Kristen come over and begin, I do have copies of this presentation for the Commission.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? I think I have. Yes, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
As Kevin
Please
mentioned.
say your name.
Oh, yes, sorry, Kristen Hughes with RSM. So I'm going to go through a summary of the results of this year's audit. You've been provided with copies of the presentation as well as the deliverables that are provided at the conclusion of the audit. So more specifically, the large bound document is the county's annual comprehensive financial report. You'll also have a copy of the separately issued compliance report, which summarizes work on the federal grants. And then lastly, the auditor communications. So auditing standards require at the conclusion of the audit that we summarize certain topics at the conclusion of the audit. So that's what's included in that document. And then today I'll just go through a summary of those at a high level. So as far as the auditor communications, a few items to note. You will see in the financials that we issued an unmodified opinion, which is the AICPA term for what's also known as a clean opinion, meaning the financials are presented in accordance with GAAP. The standards would require if we encountered any disagreements with management or any difficulties in obtaining information or questions or anything like that during the audit, those would be communicated to you, and there were none. Significant or unusual transactions. This is just trying to highlight if there was anything new compared to really prior year financials as far as an unusual transaction, and none were noted. The next item, we usually emphasize if there was any new accounting standards that the county was required to implement this year. There was one, GASB statement number 96. There was not a significant impact on the financials, but at a high level, this is somewhat similar to the lease standard that was implemented last year. So entities are now required to go through and analyze agreements that are more specific, as you can see, subscription-based. So just certainly with the direction the world has gone with IT, it's similar in going through and analyzing what kind of long-term agreements exist for subscription-based products, and the financials now reflect a liability for those long-term lease agreements, but as well as an intangible right to use some kind of a software or subscription-based product. So at a high level, I think the overall impact on the county's financials was roughly $250,000, taking into consideration those types of agreements in place. Next item, this does note that there are certain areas in the financials that are considered a judgment or an accounting estimate. We highlight that just because there is a component of subjectivity. So examples would include estimating the fair value of investments at year end, estimating what the depreciable lives of capital assets are for the county's areas like the net pension liability and asset. Those are actuarial assumptions. So we do take a look at those as part of the audit and make sure the estimates are supported and appear reasonable. The next item, any audit adjustments. So this would be just noted if there was anything, adjustments that came up in the course of our testing. And you'll see there were none. So that really just speaks to the county's preparedness for us when we arrived, that the final audit product is consistent with the original trial balance when we began our testing. There was one uncorrected misstatement noted. So here to emphasize, this is an item that was deemed immaterial to the financial statements. So it's summarized in the documents as an uncorrected misstatement, just meaning an adjustment identified that was not reflected. Specifically, the county is involved in a third pension plan specific to prosecuting attorneys. There's one. And so that amount has continued to increase, but again, it's immaterial to the financials. So those disclosures are just simply omitted for that plan. And then lastly, as I mentioned, the standard that was implemented this year, this is just a reference to the footnote that summarizes any upcoming standards that may have an impact on the financials in future years. So on the next slide here, so the summary of the compliance report. So in here, you will see references, letters that are issued as it relates to deficiencies. So specifically as it relates to the financial statement audit, there were no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses identified. As a reminder, the purpose of a financial statement audit is not to give an opinion on internal controls. So as you read through the letter, you will see that that is what is stated. But the standards do require that in the course of our testing, if we become aware of anything that arises to that level, that is communicated to you in writing, and there were none noted. However, as you see in the letter, again, because that's not the purpose of the audit, there is the potential that deficiencies could exist that just simply did not come up in the course of our testing. Similar, the smaller document goes through the single audit. So as a reminder, any entity that expends more than $750,000 in federal grant expenditures is subject to the single audit or compliance audit. So the county had about $5.7 million in federal grant expenditures this year. 4.4 of that million, for perspective, was the spending of the ARPA funds. And so that was what we call the major program, or the grant that was selected for testing. So there you'll see about 78%, of the county's total federal expenditures this year were subject to testing on our sample basis. The major program also received an unmodified or clean opinion, and there were no deficiencies or instances of compliance noted in the testing that we performed on the ARPA funds. For financial results, the general fund, the county's primary operating fund, for perspective here, you can see fund balance at the end of the year was just over 22 million. So what this chart summarizes is fund balance or equity is presented in 5 different classifications. So moving from the right to the left, non-spendable is the blue, that just about 1.4 million, that just represents things like prepaids and inventory where the funds are already spent. The yellow category represents restricted, so any instances of funds that are restricted by a third party, about 1.2 million sits in that category. There are future restrictions for certain public safety and general government expenditures. The gray category represents committed. That was about 1.2. So those are dollars that are restricted by the commission, specifically the restrictions held for future debt service payments. The green category is assigned, and what that means is dollars that have already been earmarked by really department heads. So that is about 6.5 million, and most all of that just simply represents dollars that are already encumbered for the subsequent fiscal year. And then the last category of red, that's unassigned. So that is the amount of fund balance available for discretionary spending in future years.
And what is that number?
Good question. I can check in the financials real quick. I didn't jot that one down. That was at 12 million as of the end of year. So here you can also just see for general fund balance, the trend on what has occurred in the general fund. So in 2023, the general fund's overall fund balance went up about 4.9 million this year. Here, this slide shows the county's total outstanding debt and leases. We've added leases, I think, over the last couple of years, just with the new standards, since those are continued to be identified as a liability. But overall, the amount at the end of 2023, there's about 5.3 million that remains in the special assessment bonds, and then just under 2 million is with long-term lease arrangements. This slide here, this shows the financial results of all the governmental funds combined. So you'll see total revenue increased about 6.8 million or 11%. That was primarily in intergovernmental revenue, so instances where you are spending down the ARPA funds, for example, that is recognition then of the federal grant funding that paid for those. Also just investment earnings. The market in 2023 obviously performed much better. And so that I think alone increased revenue about 4 million this year compared to 2022. Expenditures increased about 13 million or 25%. Most all of that was in capital outlay expenditures, which is very just project and timing driven. And again, a lot of that would also be the spending of ARPA funds on capital projects. Fund balance increased about 3 million. And then in the yellow there, you can just see issuance of debt, noting that the county hasn't issued any bonds for several years now. And overall, like as I mentioned, in the annual comprehensive financial report, just for a high level, it is a large document. So just to summarize, we already touched upon on the audit opinion, but at the start of that document, you'll see management's discussion and analysis. I point you there. It's 10 pages or so that goes through and provides an opportunity to analyze or provide explanations in a narrative format for the 2023 results compared to prior year. So sometimes that can be a condensed read on the financials, but there are balance sheet income statement for each of the funds that the county does track and budget for, as well as extensive footnote disclosures on a lot of areas that are required, including investments, debt, capital assets, the county's pension plans, fund balance, and things like that. So, and then at the end is the unaudited statistical section. So I point you there just because a lot of those schedules are 10 years in presentation. So sometimes that provides a trend analysis of just things like where revenue is coming in from, operational demographic information about the county itself. So I'm going to pause there. Happy to go through any questions on the audit or the deliverables or anything you have.
I don't have any questions. I have a couple comments. Can you go to the slide that shows total outstanding debt?
Oops, I missed it.
There we go.
Yep, thank you.
I just want to point out this really, really positive trajectory in outstanding debt at the county level. I obviously had nothing to do with that, but I think my fellow commissioners, previous commissioners, everybody else auditor and other people who work on these issues. And this is a very, very positive trend. And that's very good for the county. So I really want to point that out. Secondly, I want to commend Auditor Robinson and his staff for this audit, and the results of this audit is fantastic. Unmodified clean opinion, no difficulties encountered, no significant unusual transactions, no audit adjustments, no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. I mean, this is good stuff. Kevin, excellent work by you and your staff, and we appreciate having an auditor's office that keeps us in check and that also keeps the rest of the county in check. And this is really impressive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comments?
When I look at this chart, it looks to me like Platte County's in an excellent position to issue debt if the voters would authorize us to take on a major public works project.
Any further comments? Any comments from the public? Kevin, anything else?
No, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next on the agenda, public comments. Do we have any general comments from the public? Any further comments from the commission? Okay, seeing none.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Freier?
Yes.
Commissioner Wood?
Yes.
Commissioner Mayor?
Yes.
The motion carries 3-0. It is 10:40 a.m. and we are adjourned.